Hey y'all, it's Betsy with Happily Ever After Etc. and welcome back to another Cricut project. So today I'm going to be showing you how to make this adorable Nutcracker sign. It says, "Well, visions of sugar plums danced in their heads," and it goes perfectly, because I designed it this way, with the mold for the little resin nutcracker I'm going to be pouring. So it's designed for the nutcracker to fit on one side, the design to fit on the other. Of course, if you turn the side this way, you could do the SVG by itself and it would be just as cute, but not as resiny, which is always the goal. So this is going to be a pretty quick and easy project SVG-wise. We're going to be cutting some vinyl, 2 different colors, using smart vinyls. That makes it really fast, really easy. And then we'll just be transferring it. So let's go ahead, open Cricut Design Space, and get started. We'll have to splice apart the 2 different colors. I will show you how to do all of that, and then we'll start cutting. So let's go ahead and get started.
All right, so once you've opened Cricut Design Space, you can upload your SVG. It is already sized to 5 inches tall, which is the size we need to go opposite the resin nutcracker we'll be making. Of course, if you are making this for a standalone size, you can resize it to whatever you like. But for our sign, this is already perfect to go with our little resin piece. So the only thing I'm going to do before I hit cut is I'm going to slice out sugar plums because I want that to be in a different color. So let's slice it out. Perfect. And now we're gonna delete those slice results and change this to a pink. So we're going to do "Well, visions of danced in their heads" in a white and sugar plums in a pink. So that'll be really cute with our little pink nutcracker. Let's go ahead. I'm making this on a Maker 3, but he's pretty small at 5 inches tall. You could probably make this on any machine, including a Joy. So make sure you pick the machine you're using and then click Make It. We're going to be using smart vinyl for both, but you can use any types of vinyl. So without matte, please and thank you. Perfect. Now we could have sliced these apart as well so that we don't waste all of this vinyl in here, or we can leave it how it is. It's completely up to you. I'm going to go ahead and leave it just because I want the spacing on this to be right. Perfect. I'm going to browse for smart vinyl because apparently I only have smart iron-on selected as a favorite, and this is a removable, but you can really use removable or permanent, whatever you like. Perfect. I'm going to select more pressure because that seems to work well for my machine, and then we will go over and actually cut our materials. All right, so we've got our smart vinyl here loaded into our machine. I always use my roll holder when I'm using smart vinyl because it just holds the rolls a lot easier than them being all over the desk. But if you don't have one, it's completely optional. So go ahead and load it in. We're going to hit the load button. As always, it's just going to pull the material through the machine so it can make sure we have enough on the roll. It's not as big a deal when you've got quite a bit of roll, but when you get to the end, it's important. Perfect. We're using a fine point blade, so that is already loaded, and we're going to hit go. Okay, so I wasn't paying attention and I cut the wrong piece. So now I have, well, visions of danced on their heads in pink when I needed sugar plums. So I went ahead and sliced it off. I was trying to figure out what happened, so I didn't film it. And I'm going to just go ahead, turn this around, feed it back in, and cut sugar plums out of this side. We'll do a second sign, but the one with our resin piece, I really want it to work properly. So Go ahead and load this in. We'll cut sugar plums out of this side. There we go, sugar plums. So now we can do 2 signs. In the meantime, we still need to cut this out of the white. So let's go ahead and load the white smart vinyl in. There we go. I have the right cutting mat selected on my Cricut. Cut this guy. Once this is done, I will go ahead and weed everything so that we can put it on our sign. I'll see you once all the cutting's finished. All right, so let's go ahead and start weeding the sugar plum because that should be easiest. We're going to take all of the pieces out that we don't need. So for plum, we have quite a few of these inside pieces that we definitely do not need. But we need to be careful because the sugar, the S and the G cross over. So for example, we've got this little bit of the L and then part of the S and then another bigger part of the L. So we want to make sure when we're weeding that we don't accidentally take these parts of sugar that cross over out. You'll also notice a little part there. So we're going to take every single piece that we don't need out. At the end of this, our design should look exactly like it does in Cricut Design Space. So that is the goal here. For the most part, this vinyl weeds really easily, so it's not too hard. The little tiny pieces in this plum are definitely the hardest part. And they're not really hard, they're just tedious, I guess. Just pay attention to what you're doing, and you should be fine. If you're having a hard time seeing, a light box, or I have my Bright 360, it's always helpful. I typically will use one or both of those. Well, I don't think I've ever used both. I'll typically use one of those when I'm doing my white, because white iron-on and white vinyl is always the most challenging. swear, test my patience. All right. And when we get up here to the little tiny portions of sugar, we just need to be very careful not to accidentally go against what's there and rip these little tiny pieces. I'll just go slow, watch what you're doing. You should be fine. I'm going to cut that because I tend to stick things where they don't need to be. Just watch those little tiny pieces. And there we go. All weeded sugar plums in the pink, not the white. We will go ahead and weed our white as well. And then once they're both done, I'll be back to show you how to transfer them to our sign. Dun, 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 dun. All right, so we've got both parts of this weeded, ready to roll. I've got my sign and my little nutcracker. So this is the resin mold. I will pour him and then he will go right here. So I'm just using the mold as a guide for what I want. But we're going to start using some transfer tape on this guy, transferring him right here to go beside our nutcracker. So let's go ahead and get all of this ready to go. I think that'll actually work. So let's cut a piece of transfer tape big enough. All right, and we've got a little dog ear here from our last time we used this roll. I'm trying to keep things dog-eared so it's not as hard to actually get the transfer tape. We're going to smooth this on and we're going to keep... Nope. Okay, careful. So I'm trying to line up the grid here with the letters here so that we can keep everything straight. It's a little hard because I'm coordinated. There we go. Now, there we go. Perfect. All right, I had to get my scraper. So now we're going to scrape, scrape, scrape. Make sure these letters are really on here. Turn it over. Now we scrape from both sides. Now we will try starting to peel this off and take those letters. Of course, if they need a little help, which this one's right on the dog ear, so I know the E's gonna need help. And we will make sure they are peeled up. There we go. So we got past that top part, we're doing okay. Perfect. Whew. I'm telling you, that was a close one for a second. All right, so now we're going to put this guy where he goes. We're going to make sure he's right in the center here. I want him centered and straight. And we want him over a little because that S is going to go further over to the left than the rest of the design. All right, that looks good. So let's go ahead, smooth it on. Now, if we need to use the scraper, we will, but I painted this sign, so I don't really want to scrape the paint if we can help it. We usually don't need to. Usually, just smoothing the vinyl is more than enough to help it stick. We are missing a T. Danced in hair heads. All right. Aha, the T. Let's go ahead. I think I'm just going to try to place this guy like a sticker, instead of using the transfer tape. Line them up on the bottom. Oh, that's too close. There we go. That's better. Whew. Crisis averted. Let's go ahead. Get this guy. Hopefully, we don't have any issues. All these little tiny letters, and we're going to go really slow when we're doing all these itty bitty portions, because they are less likely to want to stick and more likely to want to tear. Sugar plums. Dun, da, da, dun. Let's go ahead and put this guy here. Honestly, we'll move him out of the way. We know this needs to be lined up on the right and in the middle. Yes. Perfect. Always smooth it from one side to the other so that we don't get any air bubbles. If you smooth it from the outside in, you're likely to get air bubbles in the middle. Ooh, that's what I'm talking about. Careful with those loopy parts. Perfect. Now, obviously, we could be finished here. We could do an SVG of a nutcracker. We could just do the text. We could have put this vertically, but I am going to go pour my resin nutcracker. And if you want to check out the resin nutcracker, that will be a different video. I will link it down below, and then you can see the finished sign. But for today, we are done. Our entire SVG is finished. He's so cute, you guys. I wasn't sure what I wanted to go with this nutcracker, but as soon as I thought of this quote, the sugar plum fairy, my girl Sugar, my dachshund, is Princess Sugar Plum Fairy. And so I knew I had to do this as soon as I saw it. I hope you guys liked this project. If you did, make sure you are following along
I have several other projects that are going to be resin and Cricut combined coming your way this season. If you want to follow along, I'm sure you will get to see those. Either way, I am going to go decide what colors to do this guy. I'm thinking pinks, teals, sea foams, blues, whites. I don't know. He's going to be pretty pastel though. Thanks for watching, y'all. Bye.